destroyed.
Well, yes, I agree with you. But it's then the question is like when you said, well, the person is speaking out now, which is true. And you said we don't see that from athletes. But technically, you're not seeing it from an athlete. You're seeing it from a former athlete. You're hearing a lot of former people who used to, you could have a former CIA person speak up. You can have a
Somebody's
former
got to be
cop.
the light, though.
No, but I'm saying, but you can have a former CIA person speak up. You can have a former cop speak up. But don't you want the cop who's in the middle of what's going on? Isn't that what you're ultimately asking? That LeBron James would be honest, that AD would be honest, that the guys who have the light on them, not when the light's gone, now let me try to get the light again by giving you something that I didn't give you before. So I benefited off of it. So technically you're no different than the people you're calling out. You're saying Charlemagne the God shouldn't be quiet. He need to use his platform to talk. But Charlemagne's doing the same thing you did when you were in the NBA because you wanted to get money. You kept your mouth closed. So now you're not doing it. It's the equivalent of old women who have been out and been whores their whole life talking to a 15-year-old telling her, why you dressing like that? And you're saying, only reason you're not is because you're no longer cute in this dress. You're not doing this because it's just in your heart. You're doing it because you can't do what I'm doing anymore. So we're going after the people who are still in the spotlight with a person who, when they were in the spotlight, told you, I didn't speak up because I wanted to keep a job. So how can you go after other people who got the same family you got?
Well, one thing I would say is I wish they would follow Kwame's road to success. Don't speak up when you're not in position to be truthful. They can keep their fucking mouths shut too. LeBron James can talk about basketball. That's what he's qualified to talk about. That's what he knows. This other shit he's doing, he don't know what he's talking about, and he should shut the fuck up.
But he's trying to make his money. I mean, I hate what he did when he always has something to do or to
How
say.
much more money does he have to make? Nike's paying him, the NBA's paying. How much is enough is enough?
You know what we doing now? Now we count another man's pockets. You know that's a street word. We can't count his pockets. We don't know what kind of debt this man in. I know what you're saying, but I'm saying
Kwame chose silence, and then when he got in position where he felt like he was forced to because to me what Kwame's doing, where it all initially sparked from, he's trying to protect his ability to be a father to his kids. He does not want 10 years after his NBA career is over to be a laughing stock when his son, who's probably a sports fan, who's probably an athlete, turn on any of these shows and man, they cracking jokes on my daddy.
But isn't that petty by that logic?
Excuse me?
But isn't that petty by that logic?
Hey man,
the Bush kids, what do you think they have to hear all the time? The Clinton kids.
Bush kids. Do you know how much money the Bushes are worth and that you ascend to the presidency? That's part of the baggage that goes along with that. This dude played basketball.
Then they're saying you made this much money playing a game. That's part of the baggage. And you know it as a sports writer. Part of the baggage is, sorry, Tim Couch, we're going to call you a bust. He's not the first. Sorry, Ryan Leaf. And we drove Ryan Leaf to be an alcoholic.
For this kind of ridicule. Michael Olowokandi was drafted 3 years before Kwame, 7-footer out of University of Pacific. He only played 9 years in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
He, under the definitions of bust, what they would say, he was a bigger bust than Kwame.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't. Olowokandi came into the NBA at 23. Kwame came in at 19 from, based off the information Charlemagne has shared and we've come to learn about Kwame, from one of the most dysfunctional situations you could possibly come to. And he walks into Michael Jordan's toxic environment that he's built in Washington, that Jerry Stackhouse has talked about a year ago, that I just watched Eton Thomas, Chris Whitney, Tyrone Nesby, and Jahadi White just last week talk about how toxic that environment was that Kwame was in. This was a kid from a tough background that walked into Michael Jordan's bullshit. And Michael Jordan's the greatest player of all time. He is not the greatest human being of all time by a long stretch.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't blame this man for, if I had a son who was in athletics or I had a daughter who might be watching these shows like, damn, why y'all still talking about me? Why am I acting like Steven Jackson acting like there was only one person? Like Kwame Brown is totally irrelevant as a human being. Just cut it out, man. Let this man, he had moved on. And so he drew a line in the sand and started a fire to draw a line in the sand. Hey, man, y'all gonna cut this shit out.
No, I feel you. I was just saying that,
y'all
like,
need to come see me.
I understand
And
it.
I respect that.
And that's all I was saying. Like, but there are other people who are busting. We make fun of them all the time. Jamarcus Russell, what do you think his kids are going to go through?
He's not getting talked about the way Kwame was.
They talk about Barry Bonds like he's the face of. He's the face
Marcus
of.
Russell was hooked on syrup and lean, man.
But you know what I'm saying? You got your Johnny
on-
Manziels. You got your, like, all these people are being thrown up as either bust or he didn't do. I remember when Jason Collins came out gay and all we threw up was how horrible he was at basketball. That wasn't why did we have to say he suck at basketball? Because he was telling us he suck at home. Like that way, but the jokes were there to be made, and it's just one of those things. Like, where's the line drawn? Who's to be protected? Because we've watched young kids get slammed for coming out of in college, and things go wrong for them, or they don't produce like someone else wants to. Allen Iverson, he became a joke because he lost his money.
Whoa, not a joke now.
Well, I'm saying because he lost his money.
A handful of critics, man. Small handful of critics.
They kept throwing up this man's money to the point where he had to come out and say something about it.
Say that again?
I said they kept throwing up his money about him losing it to the point where he had to come out and say it. Josh Rosen will never be the same. The quarterback came out in Arizona next year.
Came out to Arizona, then Miami.
Yeah, he's done. His head is done. But if you look at it, they do this to a lot of people. Not that it's right, because I understand what he's saying. But the writers are making more money and the shows are making more money the more critical they are of kids. And their excuse is, you made enough money so we can do this. The people at the sports arenas, they treat the athletes by the same way of what you said about the Bushes. You make this much money, it comes with the territory. So if we call you any kind of niggas or we throw water at you, you should take it because you get paid $30 million a year.